Hey everyone, so this is the first video in a series on how I keep my training log on the screen right here. I want to first say that I'm not saying you should necessarily keep a training log exactly like this. If you think it will work for you, then by all means take it, but this is a very odd way. I don't think anyone else does it like this. There are multiple parts involved and we're going to have multiple videos on it. It's really, I guess, somewhat of an anal retentive way. People may term it that because same thing is tracked in multiple places in some ways, but I do find this works really well for me. I am continually updating and adapting this, and by having the training log, because what gets tracked gets improved, and having it in this style really is keeping me moving forward. So in doing this, I'm saying you don't need to take everything from it and do the whole system, but if you find just one or two useful bits and pieces that you can add to your own training log and how you keep it, then that's great. That will be helpful for you. So you'll notice that we are online here. I like to keep my training log online. I've been doing that for I don't know how many years now. I used to do a training log with pen and paper, and I would still do that, except there's a couple things that I really like about having it online. One, it is searchable, right? So as an example, I haven't deadlifted in a while, but if I type in deadlift here, boom, I can go back. I don't have the year here, but I could figure that out just based on things. I believe this was almost 2 years ago. I was doing some deadlifts here, so I can actually go back and find previous records from a long time ago, which is nice rather than pouring through multiple different written journals, everything like that. So that's one nice thing about it. I will say that there's a caveat. This would be longer than the 81 pages I had here, but I used to just keep it on a laptop, which ended up crashing, and I lost that data. So now I keep it on the cloud. It's backed up and everything, so that is very useful. Another reason I like using it online is I also keep a spreadsheet portion. We'll go over that in the next video, what I call now the PR matrix. So that's useful. So that could be done in pen and paper type of thing, but like I said, just find it's useful to do this online now. So let's go over what is in here. First thing you'll notice is the date, the month and date, and which day it is, and you'll see that for every single workout here. So that's the first part. Sometimes you'll see that on Saturdays. I often am training at my friend Tyler, his gym, so I just mentioned that there, but that should be pretty straightforward. Then you'll notice this T or P. Now what is that? And I probably don't write it as much. Let me see if I can find a good example. But anyway, that is practicing or training. And then you'll also in some see test. I don't actually write that out as much. I guess I just kind of use T for them. But this is an idea that I have articles on legendary strength. If you're not familiar with that, I write about it in a couple of my books. But there's kind of a different way of practicing a movement versus training a movement. So if there's a P there, I'm really treating that a lot more like a practice. Involved in more mental drills or rest and time involved in it. You'll see most of the P's. This one's an exception here, but I'm not timing it, so I'm not trying to get any sort of density with the movement. It's really is more of a practice of that may involve high intensity and whatnot. This one, for whatever reason, didn't write that and finish my log here. But yeah, so that's the thing. So I do that when I am starting out the movement. I know if I'm treating it more as a practice versus doing it as a training. And other times when I may be testing, I should get better about that. Like I said, this is a work in progress for me. But that's it. So it starts with a P for practice, a T for training, or test for test. The next part is the exercise itself. Burpee with push-up here. That's today's workout. Bench press, kettlebell, card carrying, rafter rows. So whatever the exercise and the variation of it. So the rafter rows with straight legs, that's different than bent legs or one leg, the different variations I've been working there. And then that is followed by, so sometimes the variation is covered within the name here. So handstand push-ups on handles. Other ones, especially weighted exercises, you're going to have the weight in here. So the intensity or the variation here in the card carrying, I did some different stuff than I normally do, so a mini deck and an 18 deck. So the variations may be part of the name or separate. Then we have sets and reps. So typically you'll see 7 reps in the first set, 4 reps in the second set, 3 reps in the third set. And then that total up to 14 reps, and I was timing it, so 14 reps in 4 minutes. Another example here, when there's unilateral exercises, left arm, right arm, or left leg, right leg, then you'll see a slash between them. So 7 reps left, my right arm just wasn't feeling as great today, so 5 reps right. Then the following sets were 5 and 5, and 5 and 3. And total, all that together was 30 reps, and that took 7 minutes, 30 seconds. So that is the same kind of all through. You'll see sometimes there's single sets of things, often 3 sets, 5 sets, sometimes more. These practice squats was going very little bit at a time. This PB stands for phone book, so this was a range of motion working. If you're getting the new guide to squats, you'll see that's in there. So working with a height of 4 books and 3 books, 2 books, 1 book, and then flat. And you can see I'm not always equal on the side. So these warm-up sets was easy enough, but then my left side is not as flexible, so not able to go as far as the right side. So that part should be pretty straightforward, similar sort of manner as what people do all the time. Then I have this other column over here. This is the type of PRs that I'm setting. I'm always trying to improve on what I do from the previous time. So there's a bunch of different things. One of these would be intensity. So this is either new variation or new max weight. This was the first time I'd done rafter rows with straight legs, and you just see signals here. The 2-hand pinch just started working on this, but the previous time I had only done 90 pounds added on. That was the highest. This time I did 100. So intensity PRs in all this place. I just started working with the get up again. And let me say this, my all-time PR with the barbell get up here is 115 pounds. I'm not sure if I did that with both arms or may have just been one of them. But that was years ago, and I have not really trained the get up all that much since then. So I consider PRs whatever I'm doing on a current training cycle. And with my training cycles, it aren't timed out or anything. It's just as far as I am focusing on that movement. So from the previous time I had done barbell get-ups, I did hit new intensity PRs here. And continuing on this, eventually I'll hit a new all-time PR. So int is short for intensity. You'll see tons of this set. I'm really big about improving what I can do in the top set. So previously, when I had done handstand push-ups on the handles, I had done 6 in a set. So this time I got 7, so I hit a new all-time max on that set. I also did a total volume PR, so 14 reps in total was the most I've done with this. Oftentimes I do keep things pretty low. You know, I could do 20 different sets over 20 minutes or so. That would be a different way, but I tend to do lower volume stuff overall. And then density, so 14 in 4 minutes was better density than it may have been like 13 in 4 minutes, whatever it happened to be. So I will list out all the different types of PRs. So you see I aim to hit at least 1. Often I will hit 3. I really like it when I hit set volume density, but not every time is like that. You'll notice here I have set and set tie. So I did hit new sets on my, I believe it was left side did better, or right side. One of them did better. The other one I actually only tied with the previous time. Here, the one-legged squats weren't feeling that great, so I had no PR there, but I switched gears and did some airborne lunges. So no PR, card carrying. Didn't feel great that day, so I did not hit PRs. Novel is when I add something new, so this was the first time working with those exercises. Let's see if I can find anything else. Oh, here's one, quality. So here I was focusing on the form of the movement. So it's a quality PR, a little more subjective, but I do add that in there. Here, just working with random exercises that I'm not really tracking, so I didn't list things out here. You'll notice with card tearing, I'm often going for speed, so I'm trying to reduce the amount of time it takes to tear a certain amount of cards, and I like to get it 5 seconds or under for it to be a real quick tear like that. So you'll notice Here, in this case, my burpees were not, I hadn't progressed with them very well because in filming the guided squats, I was doing training with everything else. But you'll see most of the time, in most exercises, I am hitting PRs in there. I believe that covers pretty much everything in this. So like I said, this matched together, especially the whole PR part and tracking in the spreadsheet, and we'll cover that in the next video. But this is how I do my training. I've been doing it a long time like this. Like I said, keep on iterating, trying to improve it a little bit, but tracking it in this way, being focused on what type of training I'm doing, the specific exercises, tracking this intensity, sets, volumes, density, all that stuff, and then the PRs I'm getting in doing that, understanding that personal records go across these many different categories. That's how I do my training.